Want to know how you can gain access to capital to jumpstart your journey to entrepreneurial success? For entrepreneurs who are just starting out or those who have been in business for years, Minority Business Access is your podcast. Welcome to our show, where we will guide you in avoiding the pitfalls and thriving in your chosen business. Now, on to the show with your host, Solomon Ali.
Wow. I am so excited and thrilled to be here again. Minority Business Access, MBA. This is one of the funnest times of my day is when I get to do MBA and share the knowledge and the wisdom that I have accumulated over the years from all the books that I may have read, from all the things that I may have done and the people that have been a part of my life and that have allowed me to be a part of their life. And so this is really exciting to be able to share and give back so that people like me, people who look like me, know that you can do it. It doesn't matter if you've gone to Harvard or Yale or Princeton or where you've gone. Those things are extremely important to go to school and things like that. But I'm not talking to those guys. I'm talking to the guys like me who haven't gone to school, who had to learn it the hard way or is looking to learn it the hard way, or who may have just felt like, hey, I'm going to jump out here and do it. We know over 80% of the billionaires in the world today do not even have a college degree, okay? So people, let me share with you, you don't have to let not going to school or attending a great university be your handicap or excuse for not getting this done. What you have to do is believe in yourself. You have to go find you some eagles. You have to find some people smarter than you and not be intimidated or threatened by them and the things that they can do, okay? So that's the first thing, having some self-esteem for yourself. Okay, get rid of all that phony pride and things like that. So today on MBA, what we're going to talk about is hiring vendors. How do we go about the process of hiring vendors and selecting the right vendors and things of that nature? And that's a really difficult task because it can cause you to lose a lot of money if you don't get this right. I mean, it really can. It can cause you to lose a lot of time if you don't get it right. Okay. We're going to talk about some different types of vendors and things of that nature. And just kind of go through some different stories, and hopefully these stories that I share with you will be stories that you could relate to. Maybe you have a little experience yourself and you can say, oh, that's where I went wrong. Let me not do that. Or maybe you haven't gotten to that point yet and you can say, I remember Solomon saying this. No, let me be a little bit more thoughtful on my selection of a vendor to help me accomplish this. So in other words, what I'm saying is be very slow to hire and be very quick to fire. Okay? Be slow to hire and quick to fire. But you do have to vet your vendors and everything out. All right. So I'm going to share my first story about hiring a vendor, okay? And I'm going to try to tell a complete story. I'm not a really great storyteller, so you're going to have to bear with me a little bit as I try to fumble my way through this, and hopefully I won't mess it up too bad. All right, so I'm going to hire a accounting company, okay, that'll do my books and my records and everything like that. Now, when I hire that accounting company, in my early years, what I did is just went out and hired an accounting company, okay? And I didn't vet the accounting company and compare it with other accounting companies. All I did was based it on price. I said, oh, okay, that fit my budget. In fact, their price was a little bit lower than my budget. And they showed me everything basically that they would do on their brochure and everything like that. And I was like, woohoo, great, we can get this done. All right. And the relationship started out really well, okay, in the very beginning when they were doing really basic stuff for me, okay. But I noticed as we got more complicated, they want to woe me with their expertise and their knowledge. And my other professionals and my years of business experience was telling me inside my gut, they were wrong. they were wrong about the things that they were telling me and how they were guiding. But I said, well, they're the professionals. They know. Let me kind of follow that. Bad mistake. If your gut tells you something, call people on the mat for that. Okay? So if your gut tells you, call them on the mat for that and call them out. Okay? So the things that this company was telling me was, hey, we need all your records to do this and all your records for these various reasons. And the reasons that they needed all the information, and we went back 5 years to do some accounting work and everything like that. And the reasons that they needed all the information just never really added up or made sense. So we went back through 5 years of bank statements, 5 years of all receipts, 5 years of all transactions, contracts, things of that nature. We went back through all of this information. And so they were preparing all the new tax returns that they had to need to be re-amended and stuff like that because the previous guy did them wrong and everything. And then to come to find out they did it wrong as well. Okay, but we didn't find that out until much later because I didn't listen to my gut. And that's why I say you got to call them on the mat. If your gut is telling you something that you feel is not quite right, and how you know it's not quite right, because you may have had experience in the past where other professionals had asked you or given you different reasons for what you were doing and why you were doing those things. And so you have to be mindful because we all learn, okay, and we all hold and retain information. So you have to be mindful of what it is that you have learned in the past and how those applications and things was used. So anyway, long story short, that relationship ended in a disaster, okay, where me having to pay them a lot of money. And paying them a lot of money, I didn't get the job and the work done that I really needed to get done, okay, because one, in the beginning, I hired the wrong people for the job that couldn't do the job, okay, but I thought they could do the job because they had a very impressive brochure, or some might be resumes or whatever. And then at the end of the day, as we started scaling and getting larger and things like that, they couldn't keep up with the task and they started making professional excuses. And the reasoning that they were asking for various paperwork and things like that was because they had gotten above their scope. Okay, they didn't know what they were doing at that point. It was beyond them. All right, so I'll say it this way. It was like a high school kid and a professional. The high school kid is learning some very rudimentary stuff, and that professional is an expert, is an authority at some stuff. So I'm dealing with a high school kid, and when we move towards the level of college, the high school kid is beginning to get lost, and that's what these accounting people were. They were like high school kids, and as we kept moving and shifting, they were beginning to get lost. And I needed to graduate my team as I was moving and scaling and growing, and the transactions and things of that nature are getting very complicated. So I say all that to say this. What am I saying? Don't just hire people based on a price and based on what they can do for you today. Look at where you truly believe your business is going. Look at your shortcomings. Look at your strengths, okay? And believe that you're going to get your business to where it's supposed to go and that they're a right fit as a vendor, as a professional to be able to help you get there. Also, if you need to have them accompany you to a meeting, do they have the right presentation? What do I mean by that? Okay, we all know what presentation means. Do they have first, and I hate to say it this way, people, but I must say it. Do they have the right look? Okay, the right look, all right? And what I mean, the right look is if you're coming to a meeting with me, you're suited up. You don't get to come in some jeans, some penny loafers, and a button-down dress shirt. You're suited up. You're like I am right now. You're going to have on a suit jacket. You're going to maybe have on the blazer or the vest, a nice tie, and a nice shirt. And you're going to have on, yes, you're going to have on the pants as well. That's suited up. Women, you're going to be dressed, the best way I can describe it, very professionally, or like you're going to church, okay? And that's for men and women. Dress like you're going to church, okay? Get suited up. Now, I'm not going in a meeting or taking someone in a meeting with me that their hair is not done. Women, your makeup not done. Their clothes are sloppy. Their shoes are not clean. I'm not doing it. Why? Because that is a representation of me. That is a representation of my business. That reflects on the quality of work and our standards. Do you understand what I'm saying? That reflects on the quality of work and your standards. If a person is not going to put on a suit to go to the bank, okay, or to go meet their attorneys, or to go meet a potential client, then that's a problem. Because you're being judged at all times. You're always being judged, okay? And you want people to judge you, right, based on your work, based on your performance. Well, if you come in and your shoes are running over, and your shoes are not polished or clean, okay, and your clothes are hanging off of you, guess what they're judging you on before they even give you the opportunity to do the work? So you don't ever get the opportunity to be judged on your what? Being a professional, because you already been judged by your appearance. And so they figure if that's your appearance and that's how you look, and you don't take the time to bring and represent, that's the kind of work you're going to do. Now listen, don't get mad at me for saying it. I'm just telling you what they're thinking, okay? And that's what they're thinking. They're thinking based on your appearance, that is the representation of the work that they're going to get. And we all judge people. So don't get all holier than thou and act like, well, that's wrong. You shouldn't judge people you don't know. You're right. The guy could be look like a transit, clothes unclean, and could be a genius, could do the work in his sleep. But the first thing for him to be able to do the work for anyone is he got to get beyond what? The gatekeepers. He's got to get beyond and get a chance, an opportunity to do the work. Okay, so enough of that. If you don't get it, you don't get it. If you go in there and you think it's okay to dress how you want to dress, and to think that, oh, you don't need to wear a suit if you're a man, if you're a woman, you don't need to dress up and put on your makeup and things of that nature, then that's on you. And I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to say it right now, your ship will burn. Okay, you're not going very far, people. And I don't care if you are in this generation, previous generations, or the generations to come. Everyone judges the person based on how they look in that first glance. So in about 3 seconds, you have been judged, and I have determined whether or not you are capable of doing the work. The rest is just supporting the information to reaffirm the decision that I have made based on your appearance. I hope everyone understands that and everyone gets that. Okay. Someone's trying to call me here right in the middle of my podcast. So listen, please take it from Solomon, dress appropriately for all business meetings with your attorneys, with your accountants, with your potential clients, with your already existing clients. Please dress appropriately, okay? It is very important because you don't need to overcome any more things than what it is that you have to do. and working with them in a professional relationship. All right. So the next thing, all right, the very, very next thing is this in hiring a vendor is this. If your vendor comes to you and he doesn't dress as I just described for you to dress, what are you going to do? Cut it short, thank them for coming, and send them right back out the door. Cut it short, thank them for coming, and send them right out the door. Don't waste your time. Because if they didn't have enough respect for you to dress appropriately, to come to a meeting, to meet you, to get your business, or even if they're already an existing vendor, to come to meet with you, to share what's going on the services that they have been providing and where they are, they're not professional. So therefore, you want to go on and cut it short. Maybe they started out that way and now they're down here. Because as we know it, sometimes companies can start out at 10 and end up at a 3. All right. And sometimes they can start at a 3 and end at a 10. You just never know. But wherever they are, be slow to hire, quick to fire. So if they start at a 10 and they drop to a 3, you got to go ahead and know that their days is number, okay, and that you may be needing to look for a different relationship. And you're going to say, oh, wow, Solomon, you'll do all that just based on the way they're dressed? Yes, indeed. Here's the reason why. If you don't show me enough respect to come appropriately to a meeting, dressed accordingly, then you're not going to show me enough respect in doing my books and my records. You're not going to show me enough respect doing my legal work. You're not going to show me enough respect doing my printing, doing my manufacturing, okay? Your job is to continue to sell me on your company and its services and why it's a value to me. Not to take our relationship for granted. We are professionals. We are in a business relationship. And the moment you begin to take that relationship or you allow someone else to take that relationship for granted is going to be the moment your business starts slipping off. Okay, so I don't take people to any business meetings that are not dressed appropriately. I don't go to any business meetings not being dressed appropriately. That's first and foremost. Next, do your research. When hiring a vendor, do your research. You need to learn as much about that particular vendor, okay, and their competition. I always like to pick 3 to 5. All right. So if I'm hiring a law firm, I'm going to pick 3 to 5 law firms, okay, that's at pretty much the same level. And then I am going to find out as much about those different law firms as possible so that I can select the best quality law firm to represent me. Now, sometimes that representation may be determined based on where I am today. Sometimes that representation may be based on where I'm going. And every once in a while, it may be based on where I have been, because we might need to have corporate cleanup and things of that nature to get us to the present, that things just need to be tightened. Okay, it's not that they didn't do a good job or the previous one didn't do a good job previously. It's just sometimes you got to tighten things up. When rules and regulations and things of that nature change moving forward in the present, you got to know, oh, okay, we need new rules. We need new policies and procedures and things like that. So you got to tighten things up. Okay. And the same with accounting, the same with anything, people. Be aware. Hiring vendors is a very tricky thing, because when you hire a vendor, a lot of times you enter into a contract. So think of the contract as a marriage. If I enter into a contract with you, right, it's easy to get in the contract, but it's a little more difficult to get out of a contract. What are we saying? A marriage contract, a lot of people get married. It's easy to get married, but it's hard, very hard to get a divorce. What does it take to get a divorce? People are turning around and what? They have to split their assets. The husband's got to go get an attorney. The wife's got to go get an attorney. And then all of a sudden, you got to start dividing up all the property. Who the kids going to stay with? Who get this house? Who get this car? How much money's in the account? Well, guess what? You didn't have to do all that when you got married. All you basically had to do was go what? Give some blood, do a marriage license, a marriage certificate, and stand in front of a person and say, hey, I promise to obey both ways and cherish and honor and everything of that nature, right? Pretty simple, but it's a little more complicated to get a divorce. Same in business. When you hire a vendor, a lot of times you're entering into a contract. And when you enter into that contract, you need to understand what's in that contract. So you need to make sure that your law firm looks at the contract. Don't just take the contract that it's a standard contract and the vendor says, hey, well, everybody uses it. This is our standard contract, what we use. What I always say is I understand that. My team and I will have to look at the contract and go through it. Why do I say that? Because there's no such thing as a standard contract. Contracts are between two parties. Just because you have a contract that you use that's a boilerplate with all your customers, okay, I don't fit that mold. I may have special needs. Okay, so I have to make sure my special needs will be covered in that contract. I may want to pay you on different pay dates or things of that nature. I want to, if you don't deliver on time, I may want to turn around and get a discount. So I need that in the contract, and I'm sure it's not going to be in the vendor's contract that they give to typical customers. See, this is where you start separating yourself from the other people. See, the other customers didn't know to do that. So they go and they buy, they have a contract and they buy a service, and the delivery comes late or whatever, costs them money, but they don't know, oh, wow, okay, and they're forced to pay under the contract that particular obligation. That's crazy. That's just totally insane. So why would you do it? So what you would want to do, what I feel you would want to do, is negotiate that contract. And that's your team. So when a vendor gives me a contract and I say, okay, thank you for the contract, my team and I will take a look at the contract. So then I look at that contract and I say, oh, okay, I want to do business to business net 30 days. A lot of times a contract might say, okay, once you deliver, they deliver the service, you got to pay them in 10 days. Nope, don't do that. Why? For us, it makes it an accounting nightmare. Okay, it's a lot easier to write a whole bunch of checks and send out a whole bunch of wires when? At the end of the month, period. Okay, so in their contract, we're going to turn around and we're going to put in our rules because that's how we run our business. We're not allowing anyone else to run our business. So when I'm hiring that vendor, I'm mindful of what my rules are. So my rules is, hey, we pay at the end of the month. The cutoff for you to get a check with us is like the 27th of the month. And you get your check or your wire goes out on somewhere between the 3rd and the 5th of the month. That's important. So now I'm not wasting labor costs. All of this can be done at one simple time, very easy, very quickly. But if I got 10 different vendors and they get paid all throughout the month, oh, my labor costs just gone up, people. So you got to be very selective when you're hiring people. And when you're hiring your vendors. So if a vendor says, okay, that's not how we do it, okay, I understand. Thank you very much for your time. Give them a pat on the shoulder or the back. Good luck. Because I'm not the company for you. I'm not the guy to work with you. You understand? It's very important. Every single contract is negotiable. All right. And it must be with your rules, and you must understand what those rules are. So let me kind of repeat that. Joe Supply wants to be our supplier. And I like Joe Supply, and I want Joe Supply to be our supplier. So Joe Supply gives me his boilerplate contract. And Joe Supply says, okay, in 3 to 10 business days, you have to pay us. I say, okay, Joe, I understand what your contracts say, but my team and I need to take a look at the contract. Now, my team and I are going to look at our rules. What are our policies and procedures? How does his contract violate our policies and procedures? This is very important because what I don't want to do is set a precedent that our company does not follow its own Bible. So if I ever got sued, okay, people will be able to show, hey, they don't even follow their own rules. So I don't want to establish a precedent like that. So I go back and my team and I, we look at our policies and procedures. And we say, no, we pay everyone net 30, business to business. So I'm going to have to take out what he said, and I'm going to have to suggest that we pay you net 30. And our cutoff for your invoices to be into us is by the 27th, and you will get a check or a wire, whichever you prefer, by between the 3rd and the 5th. Do you understand? His contract may say once the goods are delivered, okay, the supply is delivered, no matter what the shape is, right? Whatever the shape is, the money is still owed. I may turn, and our team may say, no, we don't pay for things that have dents or scratches or stuff that is late. If it's late, we take and expect a 25% discount because we're going to have to what? Ramp up either our labor costs or it's going to cost us somewhere down the road. So we're prepared for that. So I got to go back and say, hey, just because you delivered it to me, I'm not okay with just paying you that when you delivered it late, because now I may be late on a contractual obligation that I have with one of my customers that may cost me money. Okay, so people, I think you're starting to get the point right now. So now I got to go back and say, look, we're going to be, if you are late on any deliveries, we're going to deduct 25%, okay, and whatever the number is, 25% from the cost. Do you understand? And they're going to say, well, I don't like that. I understand that, Joe, you may not like that. However, that's just how we do business. And either you would like to do business with us or you don't. We will go shop and find someone else. It's really that simple. Okay. So these are the kind of things when you're hiring a vendor that you must look for. You go to your policy and procedures. You look at their contract. You match it up. Make sure that you're not going to be under any breaches or anything of that nature of any of your contractual obligations with potential customers or existing customers. People, that's very important because, see, a lot of times we hire vendors and we forget that our customers have a contractual obligation, or we have a contractual obligation with our customers to perform and deliver. And so if I can't perform and deliver for my customer because Joe Supply failed me, why should I eat the cost because of his failure? Are you understanding what I'm saying? Because, see, this is really important because a lot of people don't even think about something that simple in business. What they do is say, oh, okay, this is what it is. This is what they want. And they sign a contract and they go on and they're happy that they got Joe Supply. Well, your ship is going to go and crash. It's going to burn and crash, people. And it's just a matter of time. Because, see, you're starting to make too many mistakes. Because now when your customer holds you to the fire, and they're going to hold you to the fire because they're your customer, you're going to either eat it, and there's only so many times you can eat the cost of something. All right? So you're going to either eat it, and when you eat it, guess what just happened? Profits go down. Profits keep going down. It's only a matter of time before you're what? You're out of business. So hiring vendors is very important. Making sure vendors are able to do the work and deliver on time. Some people say, well, that's Joe's Supply. Okay, let's do Martha Accounting Services. If I'm trying to get a bank loan, Martha Accounting Services are doing my books and my records, but Martha Accounting Service is running behind. Do you think the banker is going to wait for me forever to get my books and records? No, I'm a timeout. And they're going to be like, oh, okay, well, we've moved on. Come back and see us in 6 months or in a year. Because your accounting records have to be all the way up to date within 30 days. And as the bank is doing their investigation, guess what? It may take them 45 days. So if it took the bank 45 days to do their investigation, are you within the 30 days? No, you're not. So you need your accounting people to give you another report. And if they take too long to give you that report, you can miss out on your bank loan. Okay? This is how important understanding your own policy and procedures are. This is how important in drafting your policies and procedures so that you can hire the right vendors, okay, so that you can go out and hire the right people and you know your recourse, okay, that if something goes wrong, what's the recourse? Normally, the recourses are going to be within those Normally, those recourses are going to be within those contractual obligations. So understand and know those contractual obligations. And that goes for if you hire consultants, know what it is. If you hire suppliers, manufacturers, attorneys. So in other words, what I'm trying to say, whoever you hire, subcontractors, okay, independent contractors, whoever you hire, understand their contracts and make sure that you are able to go and create a contract that is beneficial for you and your company. Because you have customers on your side that you have to fulfill obligations to, that you have a duty to fulfill those obligations. And you never want to be in a breach of a contract, okay? So that's extremely important. Please keep that in mind when you are hiring vendors, all right? Very, very important. The other thing when you're hiring vendors, look at their reputation. Look at their reputation, all right? Very important, their reputation, their quality of work, things like that. Because again, I've said this before many times. Their reputation and their quality of work is a reflection of you and your company. That is a reflection of you and your company. That is what the public is going to see. So you want to make sure they have a good reputation. You want to make sure their quality of work is good. You don't want to hire a vendor, okay, and they're out there, you see them in a restaurant and he's arguing, fighting with his wife. It's not a good reputation, is it? No, and that reflects on you. Because you hired this guy in his company, and his marital problem don't reflect on you, but the mere fact that he's doing it in public, fighting with his wife, and he is a vendor of yours, that reflects on you. Okay? So you want to keep that in mind. It is so important that when you're hiring people to keep in mind, especially vendors, to keep in mind your contractual obligations. Okay? So be very mindful of that. Contractual obligations with your vendors. Make sure those are suitable obligations and contractual obligations that you can live with, that your company can live with, that you will be able to have your customers and things of that nature and still meet your customers' needs because you may have contractual obligations with your customers. So I just want to share that with you. That is very important. And so I used a very exaggerated husband and wife fighting in a restaurant as your vendor, but I think I use that so that you get the point. In other words, you want a company with a good, stellar reputation. Because if they don't have a good reputation, it will reflect on you. Okay, it will reflect on your business. Okay, people will only look at the people that's around you. Okay, they're not just looking at you, they're looking at the people around you, the people you're hiring. So if I'm hiring bad vendors, people are thinking, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. My work is bad. Okay, that's the perception that you're giving people if you do that. Okay, I got a few more minutes to talk, I guess. I don't know where we at. I'm looking at a sign that says I'm at about, I guess, 30 minutes. I have no clue. So here's what I'm going to tell you now. When you're also hiring a vendor, right, set it up for yourself to have 3 vendors that provide you the same job. So if I'm hiring Joe, the supply company, I am not and cannot afford for risk management to get everything I need from Joe's Supply. So I'm going to have an A vendor, a B vendor, and a C vendor where I am getting my supplies from, where I am getting the things that I need from, right? Now, sometimes, depending on how large your company is, you might want to have as many as 5. Because if you lost one vendor, that would represent losing what? 20% of what they can deliver to you. Oh, no, you guys didn't even think about it, did you? You didn't even know to think about that, did you? You just thought, hey, I get a vendor, okay, that provide me some supply, and you're counting on getting that supply, and it doesn't get delivered. Guess what? Who's out of business? You are. So you got to think about these things. It's called risk management. I got to diversify. Okay, so I normally use 3 to 5 vendors. Okay, so for easy number's sake, I'm going to use 5. If I have products or whatever or services I need to provide, I have 5 vendors. If I lost a vendor and he could not provide a service, I only lost 20% of what I need. So 80% of it will still be there on time. So now I still got to do some juggling and stuff like that, but 80% is there. Isn't getting 80% of what you need a lot better than getting 0? And that would be what you would be facing when hiring just one vendor. So if you just hired one vendor, and that one vendor, an act of God or something happens, cannot deliver for you, then guess what just happened? He just rocked your whole world, and you're now running the risk of being out of business or losing a customer or something of that nature. So it is very important, people, have more than one vendor. Okay. I also tell way into something a little bit later, but I'm going to say it right now. It also goes for customers, people. It goes for customers. If you have one customer and that one customer makes up 100% of your business, you don't have a business. You have a relationship, but you don't have a business. Because if that customer leaves you, you're what? You're out of business. But if you have 20 customers, right? And one customer leaves you, how much business did you just lose? Isn't that just 5%? So you still have 95% of your customers. So I want you guys to start thinking along those lines because, see, a lot of people I hear, they say, oh, I'm in business, and we get to talking and everything of that nature, and then I find out they have one customer. And they're all stoked up, right? They're all, wow, I'm in business, and business is going really great. And I say, well, okay, yeah, I'm really excited for you, but you need to get some more customers. And you need to get them quick. Yesterday. Don't go home. Go find you some more customers. Don't go to bed. Don't go to sleep. Go get you some more customers. Because the moment that one customer leaves, you're in trouble. Same with vendors. If something happens, I know you guys don't think about this stuff, but I learned this stuff the hard way, okay? If I have one vendor and he gets his supply from Jack's Trucking Company, and Jack's Trucking Company has a logistics problem and can't get him the supply, and he can't get me the supply, oh, wow, that's a ripple effect, right? But if I have 5 vendors, they're probably not all using Jack Trucking, company. And I'm going to make sure they're not all using Jack Trucking Company. Why? Because I did my what? You got it. I did my due diligence. Because if they're all using Jack Trucking Company and Jack Trucking Company has a problem, right? A logistics problem, guess who has a problem now? It didn't matter I had 5 vendors, right? Now I got the problem. Okay, if Jack Trucking Company goes up on his prices for logistics, right? And Joe Supply has to pay the increase, who do you think Joe Supply is going to pass that cost to? You got it. He's going to pass that cost to me, right? But if I have 4 other vendors, right, that cost may not be getting passed to me because they're not using Jack Trucking. I hope everyone understands what I just said. So that's how you handle your risk management on that end. That's why it's so important to do what? Your due diligence. That's why it's so important to stay on top of things, to know what's going on. People, it's not sufficient just to say, oh, I have a contract for Joe Supply to provide me with this. You need to know about Joe Supply. Who are they getting their stuff? Who's handling their logistics? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? You need to know. And you need to be diversified enough with your supply so that you're getting it from different places and knowing that their logistics is coming from different places and their supply and material coming from different places as well. That is very important to know, people. Listen, I'm out of time today. Thank you so much for tuning in to MBA, Minority Business Access. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys all. I hope you find this to have been of great value and of great substance to you. I know it has helped me in my business career and being successful and keeping me from losing monies and things of that nature, especially when I couldn't afford to lose monies. It was a little more time up front, but it will really save you a lot of money, as it saved me a lot of money. Thank you so much for tuning in to Minority Business Access MBA.
You've reached the end of another episode of the Minority Business Access podcast. Connect with us at solomonrcali.info to leave a review and access more resources. We hope you enjoyed this show and found great value. See you at the next episode.